Good morning, everybody. As we go to the Chitas of today, we're holding the portion of Toldos. We're holding, today is Wednesday, we're holding the fourth reading on chapter 26, verse number 30. Ayas lahem mishta. And they made a party, and vayechel vayesht, and they ate and they drank. Yeshkima babeka. They got up in the morning. Yishpu ishlach, and each one made a vow to the other. Yishalchem Yitzchak, and Yitzchak sent them away. Vayelchu mi'itam b'shalom, and they went from him in peace. And that day came by Aviv Avdei Yitzchak, and the servants of Yitzchak came. And they told him about the new well that they dug. They said, we have found more water. Shiva. And they called it Shiva. Shiva means, comes from the word oath. Al-Kain Shema Ir Be'er Sheva. And that's why the city is called Be'er Sheva Ad Hayem Hazeh, the well of oath, until today. So that's why you can go visit Be'er Sheva today. Shiva Al Shem HaBris. This is because of the vow of the bris that they made, that they wouldn't fight anymore. They would leave Yitzchak alone and let him continue to do what he's got to do. Asa ben Abayim Shana, Asa was 40 years old. Vayikach is Yehudis Basbeidi. He took the daughter of Yehudis Basbeidi, Hachiti, who was a Hittite, Basmas Basilon. He married these two women, and he married Basmas Basilon, Hachiti, the Hittite. Esav is compared to a pig, swine, as it says about his offsprings. Yachesemnu Chazimeyar, a swine of the forest, ravages Israel. Why? Because when a chazer lies down, it stretches out its hooves. And it says, see, I am spiritually undefiled, because a chazer has split hooves. So it has one sign of kosher. Similarly, the descendants of Esav rob and exhort, yet show themselves off as reputable. So that's the thing. Esav is like a chazer. He shows himself like a very holy person, like Esav, but really he's a ganav. For 40 years, Esav would abduct wives and husbands and abuse them. And at 40 years old, he said, I got to get married. I'm going to follow my father's footsteps. My father got married at 40. I'm going to get married at 40. So it's like a chazer. And they were spiritually rebellious towards Yitzchak and Rivka. As she says, Maros Ruach is rebellious, as in it says, you have been rebellious. Mamrim, Yitzchak and Rivka. Why was it so hard to Yitzchak and Rivka the way they lived? Because they were worshiping idols. Chapter 27, verse number 1. Yitzchak got old, and his eyes was dim, for he couldn't see anymore. He called his older son. He said, my son. He said, I am here. Now she says his eyesight became dim. Why did he lose his eyesight? The smoke of the idolatrous incense offered by these women, it affected his eyesight. Esau's wives. Another explanation, when he was bound on the altar of his father, wished to slaughter him. At that moment, the heavens opened up, and the ministering angels saw what was happening, and they started to cry. And their tears dripped into and fell in his eyes, and it blinded him. Thus his eyes was dim. Another explanation, his eyes became dim because we needed to have the story that's going to follow. So the Eibishter made everything is divine providence. God made his eyes dim. He suddenly lost his eyesight, so that this whole story that was going to follow would happen. If he had eyesight, this whole story could not happen. And he said to him, I'm becoming old. I do not know the day of my passing. She says, Shua ben Korcha said, if a person approaches the age at which his parents died, he should worry 5 years before that age and 5 years after. Isaac was 123-year-old, and he said, perhaps I will not reach my father's age, who died, my mother's age. Maybe I'll reach a mother who died 127. So I better start worrying. And now, within 5 years of her age, therefore, I did not know the day of my death. Maybe I will reach my mother's age. Or maybe I'll reach my father's age. My father died 175. So I don't know which age I'm going to reach, my father or my mother. He said, therefore, I'm asking you a favor. Please sharpen your weapons, your sword and your arrow and your bow. Go out to the field and trap me an odorless game. I like to eat deer meat. Now she says, because it was usually to hang a sword. Sana, lashon hashchaza, term of sharpening, like which we learn. One may not sharpen a knife with a stone on a yontiv, but one may sharpen it on another knife. Isaac was thus reminding Esau to sharpen his knife, and slaughter the animal. He wanted to have shchita. He shouldn't take it and kill it with a bow and arrow. He should kill the animal. He should corner the animal, and he should kill the animal through shchita, through the mitzvah of shchita. Because he didn't want to die he didn't want to eat a dead animal. He dead animal. He wanted to eat a shechted animal. With sudali tzayid, in the hefker, I don't want you to go. I want you to go not to capture somebody else's animal. I know you're a ganav, but I'm not interested in eating animals for somebody else. I want you to go and get it from ownerless. Aseli matamin. I'm interested in you to take this game and you should make me some delicious food. Asher ahafti. And then you'll go out there and I'm going to eat it. You'll bring it to me and I'm going to eat it. So I can bless you Terem Amos before I die. Rivka Shemas Badabi Yitzchak al Esau. Yitzchak heard what her husband told Esau. Esau went lots of tzayid to go out and trap something, lahavi, to bring it to his father. Ma'al lahavi, what means to bring is what he said. Esau's intention was if he can find the game, good. If not, he'll steal it. Hook or by crook. So therefore, Esau decided, I'm going to go out there. If I can go out and catch an animal, okay, I'll listen to my father. If not, I'll go steal it. And I'll bring it to him and tell him I captured it. Yifka turned to Yaakov, but no, Lema turned to her son, and he told him, listen. Shamaitis Avicha, heard your father medabel Esau, taken to Esau, Achicha Lema, Havali Tzayid, bring me some game. Vasli Metarim, make for me delicacies. Vachela, and I will eat. Vavarachecha, Lefnei Hashem, and I'll bless you before God before I die. Now she says, Bilishusi, meaning Lefnei Hashem, before me, before God. Before God means with the permission of God. Sheyaskamaya, he will agree to this blessing. Dear for my son, listen to what I got to tell you. Which I'm commanding you to do, because Rivka knew her son Yaakov that he wouldn't want to do this. Saying, go out to the sheep. Go bring me 2 goats. I'm going to make a delicacy from these 2 goats. To your father, which I know what he likes. Now she says, first of all, kachli mishali. These are mine. And they're not stolen. For Yitzchak wrote in the ksuba, in the document when he got married, he promised his wife she can take 2 goats every day. She has the right to go and take 2 goats every day from his possession. Shnei Gedoyizim, Ashi says, was Isaac regular meal 2 goats? I mean, can I know how to eat 2 goats? Rather, since it was Passover, it was Yontif. It was Yontif of Pesach. This whole story happened on the holiday of Pesach. So you should know that this story is connected to Purim also, because the whole story of Purim happened on the holiday of Pesach when Esther made a meal for Achashverosh. It was the Seder. So this happened in the Seder. So therefore he said, listen, one's offered for his Passover sacrifice and the other prepared the delicacies. So we need 2 goats because one is we anyway need to bring a Korban Pesach, and we need to and the second one will make his delicacies. Kasher Ohav, for the taste of a kid goat is similar to the taste of a deer. He really wanted deer meat. He wanted to have meat that was wild deer meat. And but she said, I know the taste of the goat and the taste of the deer are the same taste, and it'll be fine. Vesel avicha will bring it to your father, va'achal, and he'll eat it. Avura shevarecha, so he'll bless you l'fnei Moshe before he dies. Yaakov said to Rivka, his mother, Hein Esav achi avi ish seir. My brother has a lot of hair on him. Vadechi ish chalak, and I am a smooth-skinned man. Ish seir means a man of hair, a hairy man. Uyi shemsheni avi, my father will touch me. Vayiseh be'edim kimsaseya, and I'll become a pastor in his eyes. And the opposite will happen. It'll backfire. Basically, he'll curse me, v'lei bracha. As she says, like a person who gropes in the midday, when a blind person, he tries to grab. The only thing he can have is a sense of feeling. So therefore, my father will touch me, he'll grab me, and he'll realize it's not Esav. So his mother said to him, listen, if your father curses me, the curse will be on me. I want you to listen to me. Take it from me, this animal. He did it. He went down, he took 2 gedoyim, and he he shechted it, and he brought it to his mother. And Rivka made this beautiful delicacies, kasher oiv aviv, which she knew Yitzchak loved. Tikach Rivka speak the Esav, then Rivka took the clothes of Esav. But no, Hagadol, his oldest son, Hachmudos, that were very special clothes, Asher Ita Babayis, that she had in her house. Batalbish is Yaakov B'nai, and she clothed Yaakov with him, the younger son. Now she says the clean clothes. Another explanation, they were called because they were chamed them from Nimrod. This was according to the Medrash, this was the garments that God made for Adam and Chava in Gan Eden, and Nimrod got it. He stole it, and now Esav took it for Nimrod, and that's why he kept it by his mother. Actually, did he not have several wives? Yet he trusted them with his mother. Why did he let these garments by his mother? However, the reason is because he was familiar with the thieving of his wives. So therefore, he was suspicious of that. He kept every important garment he had, he kept it with his mother. So it's like and then she took kid goat skin and to put it on his hand. In the smooth part of his neck, hairy skin. She gave him the good food. And the bread. And the delicacies that she made, the bread, and she gave it to Yaakov, her son. He came to his father. And his father said, Hineni. He said, here I am. Who are you? Here I am. Where are you? I'm sorry, Yitzchak said, here I am. Who are you, my son? Obviously told son, Esav b'cheirecha. I am Esav, your firstborn. I did what you told me to do. Please sit up and eat from my food. So that you can bless me. Rashi says you have to put a comma between the Anochi and the Esav. Anochi hamevilacha. I am the one who's bringing the food. Esav hu b'cherecha. Esav is your firstborn. So that's why he goes, why would I tell me firstborn? That's why it says, that's why you have to put a comma. Vayemi Yaakov lo Anochi. I am who I am. Esav b'cherecha. Esav is your firstborn. Asisi, kama dvarim I did many things, as you told me. Shava l'shemesav al shulchan, meaning sitting at the table, and that's why Uncle's chances I sascha sit by the table. Yitzchak said, "Wow, how did you find this so quickly?" He said, because God, your God, arranged this, everything's divine providence. Right, this was very quick. But I have divine providence. The God is with me, so God helped me find it quickly. Yitzchak said to Yaakov, come closer. I won't touch you. Is this my son Esav? It's not. What happened? Rashi says Isaac said to himself, it's not Esav's practice to mention the name of God so much. Yeah, this one is God, your God, arranged this up too much. This is too godly. Something doesn't make sense. Yigash Yaakov, Yitzchak, and Yaakov came closer to Yitzchak when he touched him. And he said, Hakol Kol Yaakov. The voice is the voice of Yaakov. But the hands are the hands of Esav. Now she says, if he speaks politely, please rise. While Esav spoke harshly, let my father arise. So he said, wow, it's unbelievable. My son Esav talks like Yaakov. Well, Esav, he didn't recognize him because his hands were like the hands of Esav. So he was fully governed by Yevarcheyu when he blessed him. You see a couple of times it says by Yevarcheyu. So you have to look at the Gemara. What is all these by Yevarcheyu? I said to him, are you my son Esav? I am. Now she's again. He didn't say I am Esav. He says I am. Now she's trying to protect Yaakov Avinu. He said, okay, come closer and I'll bless you. So I can bless you with my soul. He gave it to him, they ate, and he brought wine and they drank. So Yitzchak, his father, said to him, Goshana, come even closer, and kiss me, my son. And he came close and he kissed him. And Isaac smelled the fragrance of his garment, and he blessed him. And he said, see, my son, the fragrance of your garments, like the fragrance of the field, which God has blessed. Rashi says, it's an interesting pasuk. Rashi says, there's no worse smell than a smell of goat's hair. So what did he mean? When he said, I smell it like the field. This teaches us that Yitzchak Avinu smelled the smell of Gan Eden. Because when Yaakov Avinu was a tzaddik, walked into the room, he brought into the room Gan Eden with him. And he smelled the aura of Gan Eden. It smells like the fragrance of the field that God has blessed, meaning to which he has given good scent. And that field of apples, you remember when you learned Chassidus, Chakal Tapuchin Kadishin. It's the garden, the orchard, the orchard of apples. That's Gan Eden. It's one of the names in Kabbalah to Gan Eden. So are the rabbis of blessed memory explained. So those who learn Chassidus, we learned it in Tanya not long ago, the Alter Rebbe brought down the statement of the Zohar, which we say every Saturday night. Hakal Tapuchin Kadishin. That on Shabbos, all the Shabbos go up to Gan Eden. And especially on Mincha, on Shabbos day, is Raiva the Raivan is the most highest level of Shabbos. And it's the revelation of this Gan Eden, that Chakal Tapuchin Kadishin, which Yitzchak Avinu smelt in that moment. Yaakov Avinu, Jacob, brought Yitzchak the smell of what you say again in the prayer of the Shalashuddis, Hakal Tapuchin Kadishin, that you are in the garden, the orchard of apples in Gan Eden, and that's where Yitzchak Avinu, Yaakov Avinu brought Yitzchak. At that moment, he smelled the Chakal Tapuchin Kadishin, smelled the orchard, the apple orchard of Gan Eden. Like every Jew has that smell on Shabbos. And that completes the Chumash for today. Even we ended the Chumash with the concept of Chassidus. Alter Rebbe, we're going to go again and continue in the Kuntis Achron. Again, deep concepts of Kabbalah, because the Alter Rebbe in this whole chapter, this whole part of Tanya, tries to reconcile different statements that were written in the Zohar. So we have this concept that the Zohar writes, mitzvahs maises, power of actual deed, right? As the Gemara says, everything is also based on the Gemara, the Talmud. The Gemara says that machshava, thought. What? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see a question. Shchita, not shchita. Shchita is slaughtering. Shchita, to shecht, to slaughter. So there's a lot of, you have to have a shochek, like a slaughter. You have to know the law of shchita. So I apologize, I didn't see your question. Okay. So the question still stands. We have to comprehend Kabbalah. What is the power of action? Action is the most important. It doesn't make really what makes more sense when it comes to godly things, the heart, intellect, and the thought. No, comes the Torah and says that the physical thing is the most important thing. This is a good question that the Kabbalah Chassidus tries to explain. Why is the lowest more important than the highest? Does it make sense? In general, we said a statement yesterday, the beginning is wedged in the end. This is a statement in the Zohar, which you'll hear it a lot in Tanya and Chassidus in general. The beginning is wedged in the end. That means the machshava, the thought of God, all spirituality is all wedged in the action. As it says, the most important thing is that. So we have to understand why. You would think that there would be a greater revelation in the worlds, in the upper worlds than this world. Comes Chassidus and flips the whole thing over. And it says, no, my friend, it's not true. Actually, this world has a greater revelation of God than in the upper worlds. And this is hard to comprehend. It's a concept. It's hard for some people to understand it. But this is what Chassidus demands. That this is what the Torah demands, right? We have these many statements, even in Torah Sheba'al Peh. In Nigla, in the revealed part of Torah, we have the same study. You have that statement. It's better 1 minute and 1 mitzvah in this world than all the world to come. So, what does that mean? Why is one mitzvah more important? Here, I'm striving my whole life to go to Gan Eden, and here you're telling me, man, it's better one mitzvah in this world than the whole world to come. So we got to comprehend what the meaning of these statements are. So Chassidus gives the meaning, tries to give the meaning. Yeah, it's a little Kabbalistic over here. Look the statement of Eitz Chaim in Shar HaNekudas, in Shar, the portal, number 8, chapter 6. She'ein chayzeres panim b'panim, that there's no turning face to face. Again, the whole point of Torah is to have a face-to-face relationship in general. The whole point of why the Eibishter brought a person to the world is you should have a face-to-face relationship with him, with God, and with other people. It should be panim upon him, right? We say in the blessings of the priest, Yisa Hashem panim elech. Panim. We want a face-to-face relationship. Mitzvahs, you only can accomplish this through mitzvahs and ma'ases dafka, through physical actions. The text cited had previously discussed the stage of creation at which the brackets of 6 spheres known as collectively as Zah and the sphere of Malchus. Right? We mentioned that the concept of Zah Malchus in Atzilus were first emanated and revealed in the world of Atzilus, in the world of emanation. From Chachma and Bina, their spiritual parents, the Chachma and Bina Atzilus, gave birth to 6 emotions. And then these 6 emotions that are called Zah, Zeh, and Ampin, which is masculine, needs to come together at this stage. Zah come together with Malchus. It's the marriage between Zah and Malchus. The children get married. The stage of Zah and Malchus have united face to face. And that's a marriage of face to face. There has to be an effusion of divine energy from the innermost aspect of Zah to the innermost aspect of Malchus. How do you bring about these two opposites, masculine and feminine? Is when you come and you sanctify it. That's why Kiddush marriage is called sanctification. Because 2 opposites cannot come together unless you come from someplace higher. Unless we bring down something higher, something greater. So when you bring down something greater in this union, that's why you say when you get married, you're sanctified to me, we're becoming holier. Kedas Moshe v'Yisrael, according to the laws of Moses and Israel. What does the laws of Moses? I'm going to sanctify him because I love you. No, we don't say that under the chuppah. We say I'm sanctified to you, and you're sanctified to me according to the laws of Moses. We're going to someplace higher. We're going to something that's higher than us. We're going to the laws of Moshe. We're going to the Torah. And the Torah will unite us. The Torah will bring us unity. Because if not, we're opposite. So we need to go to something greater. And that's what happens in Atzilus. How does Zah and Malchus come together in a unity? Because you have the Ratzon of the Eibishter revealed in that. So too, you have the expression in the Mishnah. We have to reveal the Ratzon of the Eibishter. We have to reveal the Ratzon of God in the world, and that's higher than me and you. That's greater than me and you. Right? We all have Baruch Hashem families. If you sit around a family, you say, how do you unite this family with different people? Even your children are different. How do we? Because the family is greater. It's greater than the individual. The community is greater than the individual. God is greater than the individual. And therefore, brings us Avos Yisrael. Why? Because we have Avos Hashem. Because we have love of the Eibishter, should be able to give us Avos Yisrael, because the Eibishter is greater than all of us. And God unites us. That's what we say. Just like God brings unity between Zah and Malchus, between the masculine and the feminine. In the upper world, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu. If we connect to God, He'll bring peace within us. Because we're going to something greater than us. So the union was therefore merely back to back. And only the external except over here. Divine energy from the innermost aspect of Zah, the innermost aspect of Malchus. This, however, would be able, the Klippus, to see more than the due share of life-giving influence, the source of holiness. Union was therefore merely back to back, meaning only the external aspect of Zah was drawn down to Malchus. Only after Adam was created and performed mitzvahs, effectively trimming and hacking off the thorns, limiting the nature of Clipper, would Zah and Malchus be united face to face. So here Chassidus says in essence, since even in Atzilus, in the world of emanation, over there doesn't shine the essence of God, the only way even in Atzilus can shine the essence of God is if a human being down here does it. That's Kemayim upon Malaponim. When a human being does it in this world, not Chalas B'Seifan, not only do we reveal the godness in this world, we reveal it in the world of Atzilus. So the world of Atzilus, of emanation, which is the highest world in the spiritual world, is waiting for me to do a mitzvah. Because it would not be able to even have its unity in the world of Atzilus without a Yid, without me breaking the clipper in this world. In other words, divinity can be revealed within this world without any nurture being illegitimately diverted to clippers only by the means of a mitzvah, which performs, entails an actual din. Tamadavar, and the reason is it's brought on a Kabbalah, because through a good deed in this world, Goydem Zivag Elyon causes Malchus, causes the unity above. So we should realize the power that we have, that through our bringing about unity in this world, we create a unity in the upper worlds. That's what Kabbalah says. To understand why Dafka, to try to understand why only mitzvahs involving action have that power. Why can't the same result be brought about through mitzvah, through speech, or through thought? Why does it need to be? Because we talk about spirituality. So why can't the spirituality of these higher worlds accomplish through the speech of a human being or even through thought? Why specifically an action? You, the Mashakasim Bishar Man Umad, will understand what is written, will understand as written in Eitz Chaim and Kabbalah, the portal of Man Umad. Man Umad is a numerical number, and 44. Man is Mad is 44, and Man is 90. And they are symbolic to different levels of godliness above. So my nukvim, really the translation also mayim nukvim, feminine waters is man, and mayim duchrim, masculine waters. Man umad, also connected to the numerical value. Man is 90, actually connected to the avodah of Yitzchak. He's circumcised at 90, 99. So mayim nukvim. First, before the supernal union takes place, there needs to be an elevation of mayim nukvim, an arousal from the initiated by the recipient. There needs to be mayim nukvim. We need to have the lower waters to come forward. The nukva de Zeir Ampin. From nukva, the feminine element of Zeir Ampin of Malchus. So we need to have Malchus to come towards up above. You have the expression, Abisha tells Moshe Rabbeinu, come up the mountain and I will come down. Ma'im nukvim the nukva in bechinas asiyah. And the feminine waters of nukva is a state of action. As is written in that chapter 1. In other words, the things of this world, whose source is the spirit of Malchus, which is Nukva of Zah, must be elevated to their source in holiness. This can be accomplished only through mitzvahs, whose fulfillment require action performed with material components of this world. This alone makes possible the supernal union which reveals divinity within this world. So, again, the source, we learned this many times also, the source of this world is Malchus. The source of this world is Malchus, Dibur. So we need to bring everything to its source. We need to elevate everything to its source. How do you elevate something over here to its source? Is through taking a physical thing, because the physical thing came from Malchus Atzilus. So you have to elevate it. My nukvim, you have to bring up the feminine waters. You have to reveal the earth. That's again what Yitzhak dug wells. Reveal what's in the earth, and that elevates it to its source, to Malchus of Atzilus. And that's when Malchus Atzilus is elevated. It connects with Zod Atzilus. It connects to the masculine waters of Atzilus, and that creates a union which gives birth, which brings down a new light into this world. However, how can it be ensured that no part of this revelation will lead to klippos, which are also known as chutzainus, extenuous forces? The chayre is, we still have a problem that they can be what's called in Kabbalah yinikas hachetzainim. They can be the leak. It will leak to that the evil, the chetzainis, that the klippos will still get some energy from this avodah, from the service. And therefore, good deeds are described. They're called in Kabbalah as trimming and hacking off the thistles, which attach themselves to the inner part. So that's why when a person takes a physical thing and he does a mitzvah, what is he doing really? He's still physical. What he's doing is he's chopping off the thorns. It's like a beautiful rose that you have to take away the thorns. And that's what you do when you do a mitzvah here in this world. That we take away the thorns of the physicality that the physical thing has, and we reveal its spirituality. That's brought down in Eitz Chaim in chapters 47, in Portal 47, chapter 5. So it's the performance of specifically that these commandments that hack away the klippos, which like the unchecked roots of the thistle or weeds in a vineyard, right? You have a beautiful garden, but then you have these weeds. You can understand better what means the klippa for these weeds. A bothersome thing. These weeds, they ultimately take over. So you got to get rid of the weeds. If you want to be able to have a beautiful garden, you have to get rid of the weeds. They're a nuisance. They sap the strength of the beautiful flowers. They take over. And you got to get rid of it. So to klippos, you got to get rid of it. How do you do it? Is by accentuating the beauty of the mitzvah in this physical thing. And now the weeds die. Would otherwise encroach in the life-giving waters and divert them from their intended destination. That's what klippa does. Klippa is a usurper. It usurps the energy from the good. Why? Because klippa has no klippa. A challenge has no real entity. Its only existence is what it can get from the good. So any kind of uniqueness, any kind of thing that I do, and I give these extenuous forces some reality, I'm giving them that reality. So the more I do the mitzvah, because it's commanded by God, the less there can be uniqueness. So if I have some ego involved in this mitzvah, I have some selfishness involved in this mitzvah, then that's why even they can still get their energy from it. So therefore, the best thing would be is to do the mitzvah l'shem shamayim, and therefore I knock away everything. the mitzvah now becomes holy. That is through affected by elevating the element of good, which is hidden in this physical thing, the mitzvah, which is clothed in the mitzvah mice. Right? I take, for example, tefillin. Tefillin is made from an animal. It's made from a physical animal. But it's not anymore. Right now it's a pure tefillin. I've transformed it. It's made from an animal on parchment and with black ink. And I take it and I've transformed it. I turned it into a mitzvah. So therefore, it's not anymore an animal. I don't even call it leather. It's really leather. It's still a physical thing. But it's a mitzvah, it's a tefillin. It's a mezuzah. It's a sefer Torah. Wait a minute, sefer Torah is again parchment with ink on it. But it lost its physical identity. It's a Torah. That's the beauty of a mitzvah. I've taken the physical thing, I made it into a mezuzah, I made it into a Torah. I can transform every physical thing into a spiritual reality. So I've taken this building, it's a building like any other building, but it's a place of mocking Torah, a mocking tefillah. I've turned it into a place of davening, a place of learning, a place of good deeds. That's transforming the physical reality into a spiritual entity. And that's unbelievable, because that moment, hopefully, now it becomes a holy entity, and there cannot be nothing. That's why you should take every home of yours and turn it into a spiritual entity, and therefore there should be no chetzainis in this house. There should be no uniqueness. Don't be usurping of any negative. This house is a positive house. It's a godly house. There's nothing. There should be nothing negative in this home, because it's a house of prayer. It's a house of davening. Why would in this house be brought in negative things? Take your negativity, put it outside. Don't bring any negativity. We cut off the thorns. We took away the physical realities of the difference of this house and other house. This house is open to everybody. This home is a holy home. Every home should be a holy home. That's what it says. The Mishnah says, your home should be open to the public. Why? Because you should make people should feel that they can come to this home to run away from the public, to run away from the thorns of the world. That they can come into this home and feel comfortable, and feel holy. Even though it's a physical home, but it's a protective home. It's a warm home. It's a godly entity. That's the purpose. That's what happens. So this can only be accomplished in this world, where there is physicality, where there is physical homes, and there is physical parchments, and there is physical food. There are all these physical things. And that's what the Eibishter wanted, the Yid to come into this world and to transform this world from a world of physicality to a world of purpose, to a world of godliness. And what happens by that? Apich Kabbalah, we reveal the good in this world, we reveal the hidden concept of the world, and we return it to its source. What's its source? We all know, Malchus Datzilus, right? We're all Kabbalistic over here. We're all students of Kabbalah. Malchus Datzilus, we're returning to its source, the godly source in Malchus, in the world of Atzilus. The Mekayel Gdush Atzilus, it's elevated to its source, to the sanctity of the world of emanation, which had already been refined. So the performance of particular mitzvahs thus makes possible for the purification and elevation of those physical things that are in need of this, by extracting the elements of good that are within them and elevating them to holiness. The expression of the Alter Rebbe was, the Eibishter took spirituality and made it physicality, and God and the human being then takes the physical and makes it spiritual. And that's the Ur Chayzer Ur Yosher. That's the revolving concept. of the going forward and coming back, making it spiritual and coming back to the physical, making it spiritual, coming back to the physical, making it spiritual, going back to it. That's the whole process. Yeah. So that now you understand a Kabbalah why the physical is really the right receptacle, like the sun and the moon. The physical is the right receptacle for it to bounce back, for it to go back, to return to its source. So we give the capability for the bounce back, for the able to take the entity which is hidden, spirituality, which is, if not for a human being, this physical world would never be elevated. No animal, nothing in the world can elevate the world but a human being. Nothing in the world can go above itself but a human being. That's why Chassidus demands you to think out of the box, so to say. Not only think about yourself, because then you're an animal like it. The animal also thinks about itself. That's not a chachma to think about oneself. That is the nature of things, to think about itself. Think about above yourself. Think about God. That is the difference between any entity in the world than a human being. A human being can think about higher than himself, greater than himself, other. Don't be selfish, be selfless. That is only the capacity of a human being. Can't expect anybody else, anything else in the world, to be able to go above itself. The rock cannot go above itself. The animal cannot go above itself. The vegetation cannot go above itself. Only a human being. That's the expression. God says, I'm creating you in my image. You have the capability of elevation. You have the capability of transformation. It all starts the way your attitude. That's where it all starts. It all starts in your mind. Can you think above yourself? Or can you pass, as expressed to say, can you think past your nose? And this is the beauty of this whole thing. That unless I look at everything physical, we say the pasuk. It's not a state, it's a pasuk that says, Kol ma'asecha yi l'shem shamayim. Everything you do should be for the sake of heaven. It's not a nice statement. It's a truth. Eibishter says, I give you the capability that everything you do in this world should be for the sake of heaven. Should be for a spiritual concept. In all your ways you shall see God. That means that everything that happens in my life, everything that I see is really there for a purpose. Is I should see the Eibishter, see God within this situation. So that was last night's class actually. That's the paradigm. That's where a person has to start thinking different. Puts him into a whole different reality. Again, it's not an easy thing to, especially think constantly about this. But it's a person needs to think once in a while about this, to realize the Eibishter brought him in the world. As I mentioned last night, I was only created to serve my Creator. That's it. That was the whole purpose. There's no other purpose. Everything else is that purpose. That's what the Mishnah says. I was not created but to serve God. That's it. And that will change everything that I do. Because that will everything that comes to me, I'll say, what does God want for it? Why did God bring me into this situation? There's a purpose. There's a reason. And this is what the Alter Rebbe is telling us. You might come into a garden of thorns. You're brought in a situation of thorns. The point was to take away the thorns. The point was, that's the whole point, is to be able to take away the thorns and reveal the beauty. That's why I'm in this situation, because the Eibishter wants me to make the situation. What's written in the Zohar, it says, Sha'adam and Ishin Tikin Gamkein al Tefillah. And we find that the Zohar writes that not accomplish it only through action, he accomplished it through prayer. Right? It says that the Eibishter, when he created this, he created all the trees and the vegetation. It did not come out of the ground until Adam and Isha prayed for it. And then the vegetation came out. The Adam and Isha prayed for rain. It rained on the earth, and then the trees came out. So, seemingly prayer is enough. And Isis Hadibur, so that is also an action. Because that's Isis of words. And halacha, the moving of the lips is also an action. Why? Why is the moving of the lips an action? Because my godly soul doesn't speak the language that I'm speaking now. It has much more of a spiritual language. That I'm speaking to you, and you're hearing my words, is a physical reality because I have a nefesh habahamis, because I have an animalistic soul that is giving life to my physical body, and the five articulations of the mouth, and my hevel, my breath, that's why I speak. This all comes from the klippas noiga, that I speak. So that's why it's an action. Because without my body, I couldn't speak. I might have the power of speech. I might have spiritual speech, but I don't have physical speech. Physical speech is because I have a body. Let me explain in chapter 11 in Tanya, part 1 in chapter 37, that one's godly soul is incapable of uttering the words of Torah. That's it. It's ethereal. It's spiritual. Which is the sound of physical mouth, tongue, and teeth. Except through the agency of the vivifying soul that is invested in the body. So to me, to speak, Vayom Hashem, is only when we have physical speech. So what did you say? They're talking Gan Eden, they're talking spirituality. I don't know exactly what that means. Speech in an ethereal and a spiritual concept. We see from the above that the uttering of the words of prayer can also be elevated Mayim Nukfim from the Nukfa of Asiyah, just as done as a particular mitzvah, a practical mitzvah, because speech is an action. So therefore, again, as we mentioned, we mentioned before, thought is not like speech. That's why when I daven, I need to spray it with my mouth. Because if not, I didn't accomplish it. I didn't accomplish the aspect of davening. Prayer was to say it with your mouth. Learning was to say it with your mouth. In the Asiya, the active refinement in the world of Asiya, they are first go to the world of Yitzhira, they Shem Ban, through the divine name of Ban. And ultimately they go to the world of formation, and ultimately the world of creation, and ultimately the world of emanation. And thus we understand that the mere thought accomplishes nothing. As essay, Namon Kuntus Achim quotes from the Zohar. Kibeli Allah's man, because without the Mayim Nukfin that is elevated, Malachim Shebenoiga, from the kings of Noiga, that's this world, the kings of Noiga. It's impossible to draw forth the drops from above to affect the union of Zah and Malchus in Atzilus. It's impossible without me doing the mitzvah, without me saying the words. It's impossible. There's no reverberation. So this elevation can be affected only through the activity of the level of Asiyah stated above. Zah Malchus can unite only if a degree of illumination that transcends them both is drawn down upon them. To use a modal analogy concerning the union of man and woman, it's written, male and female did he create them, and God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply. Meaning, in order for the union to bear fruits, a blessing must be first descend upon the partners from above, And these drops of blessing, the source of the divine that transcends both Za and Malchus, cannot be drawn forth unless the Mayim Nukvin is aroused and elevated by refinement of the material Klippas. Because this is the world that reverberates to the highest worlds. Because Za desires to seek its nurture from its mother, meaning from the spirit of Bina, rather than give forth to the lower realms. So it's only through the elevation of Mayim Nukvim and Noiga that the high degree of illumination is drawn down within Za, causing it to desire to unite with the spirit beneath it, Malchus. That's another Kabbalistic concept. So Za is a higher level than Nukva. So really Za wants to connect to something higher than it. Why would it want to come down to Malchus? Why would Za want to come down to Malchus? The only reason why Za wants to come down to Malchus because it comes battle. It goes to its Ratzin. And what is the Ratzin of the reason why God created Za? That it should connect to Malchus. So you always have to have something higher to come into it to bring about its unity. And that's why, again, in the world ultimate, it doesn't make sense, really, the concept of the masculine and feminine to come together. They're opposites. We need to bring about a higher concept, Kedusha, to make this unity between the masculine and feminine. That happens Lamaila too. So when we break ourselves in this world and bring about a greater revelation in this world, that's what happens in the upper worlds. Everything is reflected from this world. Because why? Why is everything reflected dafka from this world? Because that's the purpose of all the upper worlds was this world. So therefore, since the whole creation of all the upper worlds was this world, therefore all the upper worlds are waiting for this world. That's the expression. The one that Yom Yoms. All the malachim and everybody is waiting for your amen in this world. So run to show. Because all the upper worlds are waiting for your amen. Especially your amen Yehesh Beit Abba. So all the upper worlds are waiting for your amen Yehesh Beit Abba. And the only place you can say amen Yehesh Beit Abba with all your strength is in shul. Is in a synagogue. That's the only, you can say amen a lot of times out of a synagogue. You hear somebody say a bracha, you can say amen. But amen Yehesh Beit Abba, which amen Yehesh Beit Abba, the Talmud says, breaks all the boundaries of all worlds. You only can say that in a shul. Can't say it anywhere besides in a shul. So that's why everybody should run to shul. Because they can say amen Yehesh Beit Abba b'chol kaichai. It's also interesting that we say Ami Yeshua with all our strength. And the Gemara says, if you say Ami Yehesh Beit Abba with all your strength, you break the decrees of last 70 years. Only can do it in the shul. So that's what the expression, the Malachim and all the upper worlds are waiting. They're waiting for you. They get up in the morning and say, when is a Jew going to run to shul? And scream Anya Yehesh Beit Abba, and they're going to break all the upper worlds. Bring a revelation in all the upper worlds, in this world and all the upper worlds. Shekasa B'Shar Man Drush Beis is brought down in the Eitz Chaim chapter Shar, the portal, Man, in the second Drush. V'ayin Zoyer, look at the Zoyer, Pashat Pekudei, Daf Reish Ben Daled, Amud Beis, the second half. The Isidura, which states that there is a mode, the stalta, to gaze. We find something else in the Zohar, where the Zohar says, just as the mode of verbalization of prayer, so is the mode of prayer with kavanah, and the means of which one meditates and attains infinite heights as one gazes upon the glory of the King. So there, the Zohar rates the greatness of kavanah. Again, you're going to see throughout these letters and throughout these, we learned already many times, that everything is important. Now, the Rebbe is going to go backwards and forwards. Everything is important. Dibur is important. Mais is important. And Machshava is also important. Nobody's taking away from Machshava. Kavana, thought. Even though thought is not an action, but there's an important concept in thought. Everything is important in its place. And therefore, thought cannot take away, thought cannot accomplish what action can accomplish. And action ultimately cannot accomplish also what thought can accomplish. And therefore, you need both. You need action, you need thought, you need speech, you need to do it all. The hein kavona satfila, and that's the intention a Jew has in davening. That's when he gazes upon God. That's what the Zohar says. When you meditate in holiness, you're gazing upon God. In kavona satfila, that is the kavona ve'echudim elyonim. That's the intention of davening. When you have intention in your prayer and the supernal unions, that the whole prayer, the whole concept of prayer is to bring unity. As we say it in davening, I showed you many times before Baruch Shama. Shem yichud kutsha b'richa u'shchinte. The whole purpose of davening, prayer, is to bring about unifications, godly unifications above. Kutsha b'richa u'shchinte. Right? I say it, I'm doing this all b'shem kol Yisrael, in the name of all Jews. I'm saying, I'm going to daven, starting Baruch Shama, which is the beginning of davening, beginning of prayer. And I'm saying, I'm doing this all for the sake of union, what's happening above. I'm not doing it only because I need to daven to God over here. I'm creating unions above. That's the kavanah of prayer. And that's, every Jew should have that simple kavanah. Whenever he goes thing to daven, he should realize that he's doing it for the sake of great revelations of godliness that are happening lamaila. Whether he sees it, whether he doesn't see it, whether he understands it, or he doesn't understand it. If you could understand it, those who know and understand how to gaze, such an individual can have an impact in this world through the unarticulated intentions alone. You can have that capability to bring about revelation through your meditation. Most of us don't have the capability to do that. We bring revelation through speech or through action. Because the nefesh, ruach, and neshama themselves constitute an arousal by the recipient, which is known mayim nukvim, through this self-sacrifice devotion of Torah. And that's the su'umar menechem. Right, to uplift your eyes. I don't want to say this verse. The gazing upon a tzaddik. Right? To realize we put pictures of in our home, not only of our family, we put pictures of tzaddikim. Because looking at a tzaddik, realizing that the tzaddik himself can elevate this world. He elevated the world not only through his davening, not only through his action, he elevated his world through his mind. Because a tzaddik has that capability to transform the world through his meditation. Sfiras Kapayim, Kaneda, and through the Taklim prayer, which we say to God, lift up my soul. This ability, however, remains in the providence of the select few. The overwhelming majority of Jews accomplish this elevation is through action. And we don't have the capability to transform the world through meditation and godliness, to gaze upon God, involve the actual deed and speech. And in this manner, they're able to bring about a union face to face between Zohar and Malchus in the world of Atzilus, sublime union of Kutsha B'richa U'Shchinte, which I just said. That's why I daven and I don't see it. For myself, some of you guys do see it, but I don't. And but that's why I daven. I said when I davened in the morning, I said L'Shem Yichud Kutsha B'richa U'Shchinte. I'm davening now to bring about the union of the Shechina, which is Malchus, Kutsha B'richa, which is Zohar. I'm bringing about this union above. And I'm hoping and I'm praying that through my davening, which is I'm diving with my mouth. I'm saying these words of prayers. I'm creating a great revelation in the world of Atzilus, which in Mirz Hashem will be ultimately trickle down into this world right now. Not many times later, will trickle down right now into this world and bring about great revelations and happiness and joy and success and everything else that needs to be done right now in this world. But really, where is it happening? It's not happening. Really, real is happening. It's happening in the upper worlds. And ultimately, will be affected, Mirz Hashem, in a wonderful and beautiful day in this world. Okay, my friends. Good stuff. Good holy stuff. But this ends the Chit Tanya of today. Today is the 28th day of the month, which is the Tillim of the day, is chapter 135 to chapter 139. If I do those chapters, I do the Chitas of the day. So listen to the Yom Yom, day to day, that the Rebbe writes. It's so beautiful because they're all connected. When you learn Tanya and you learn the read Yom Yom, many times you see the interconnection between the two. The concept of divine providence is this. Not only are all particular movements of various creatures directed by providence, and not only that the providence itself, the life force and maintaining existence of every creature, but even more, the particular movement of any creature in the general term related to grand design of creation. The aggregated of all individual acts bring to accomplish God's grand design in the mystery of creation. I said last night, we are not the story. We're in a story. We're in a story. We're in God's story. We're in God's imagination and in God's purpose. We are not the purpose. We are in God's purpose. That's what you have to ultimately realize. And that's divine providence. Divine providence is that I'm part of this grand design of creation. So the action of an individual acts brings to accomplish God's grand design in the mystery of all creation. Therefore, I want to be part of God's design, not my design. I want to be part of God's design of creation. I want to be part of God's story, not my story. I want to be part of the story of creation. That's my choice. I can choose to create my own story, which is a very limited story, and it's not going to last forever. Or can be part of God's story, which has been here for thousands of years and will continue. Ponder this. If the swaying of a blade of grass is brought about by divine providence, that's what the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, and it's crucial to the fulfillment of the purpose of creation. Think about it. Baal Shem Tov said, when you see a piece of grass, you see it when you look outside and you see a leaf blowing in the street. Baal Shem Tov said you have to look at that and say that was divine providence. That means when the Eibishter created the world, he put in creation that in the year 2025, and this day, this leaf is going to fly down the street on Lions Road, 441, wherever you are. And that was part of the creation of the world. That was part of the reason why God created the world. So if you believe that, providence is as crucial to the fulfillment of purpose creation, how much more so with regard to the mankind in general? If it's by a leaf, how much more so is it by a me? How much more so is divine providence important to me? And Israel, the Jewish people close to him in particular, we are part of a great story. We're part of an unbelievable story of creation. And each and every one of us has a part in this creation. We have a very important mission in this creation. We have a great part in the story of God's creation. That's divine providence. Be part of the story. Have a great day, everybody.